All right. Hello, everybody. And good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from the world. But it's good to be here. It's good to be live with all of you. My name is Jason from Makera, and I'm joining you from the East Coast in the US here.
Hi, my name is Rolof, and I'm joining us all the way from South Africa. So it's early mornings here. Good morning from my side.
Yeah. Roll up.
Everybody is showing up. The chat's full of different areas. So that's great.
Roll up. It's good that you're here with me, but I think you have the wrong microphone enabled, though. It sounds like you're in your big shop there. So check your mic settings to make sure we can hear you clearly. But yeah, so I'm joined here with Roloff. We're super excited to be here, and we're super excited to see so many folks from all over the world. So definitely say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. We appreciate you joining us at all different hours, and we're excited for this event, our second live stream in the last few months here. So this one is all about Makera Cam, where we're going to go over some really exciting new features and the new release of Makera Cam that's going to be released later today in about an hour or so once we're done wrapping up the stream. And we'll go over you can have access to that and everything like that. We also have a ton of giveaways planned, different accessories, bits, and even a Carvera Air machine. And the first promotion and giveaway that we want to reward all of you for joining us and taking the time to come here is a little discount. So we have this little discount code that you should be able to see on your screen here, PYCAM100, which will save you $100 on any order over $1,000 over the next 48 hours. So this will be good until the 28th of February here. So there's a little discount code that's going to be running for all of our live stream viewers. So feel free to take advantage of that. And again, thank you so much for joining us. And again, as you go through, I see the chat is already super active. Feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat. Roloff and I will do our best to answer them as we go through the content for this live stream. But we also have other Makera members with us who are keeping an eye on the chat and will work to answer your questions as well. So with that, let me hand it over to Roloff. Roloff, how are you sounding now? Let me hear your mic there, bud.
Yeah, how does that sound? Does that sound better?
Perfect. So I'm going to hand it over to you to kick us off here.
Nice. Yeah. So I think the thing to start off with is just explaining to people what this cam is and what's the difference between CAD and cam. Now, this plays a role like in 3D printing, where you have a slicer where you put the model into a software to actually tell the machine what to print. So in our case, what you will do is in the CAD software, you'll actually design your part, and then you take that part and you put that into the cam software. And in the cam software, you tell the machine what it needs to mill, what material you have, with what tools you're milling that. So it just brings everything together, and then you export from the cam software. You export your G code, which you load onto the machine, and that's ready to cut. So today we're focusing on the Makera Cam, like Jason has mentioned. This software is available for all our users, Carvera and Carvera Air. And the goal of our cam is to just make it simple enough for someone that's new into the making game, to get started and actually produce their own stuff that they're designing, or even just models they get online or just download and just make things, that's wider than with your normal 3D printer plastic, but then you can make things out of different materials, the long list of materials that we can cut on our machine. We also support other cam softwares. I just have to say that, we play with all the big guys, Fusion 360, SolidWorks, Kirimoto, like some smaller cams as well. We have post processors available for all these cam softwares. So we're not telling people to just use our cam. You can still use your cam that you're using, but our goal is just to start and create this new environment around our machines and our software, just so everything works so well together. And so yeah, it's we're focusing on the CAM, and that's kind of the difference. And I think, Jason, you can maybe start us off with some of the basic 2D features of the CAM.
Yeah, definitely, Rolf. Yeah, and I think that was really well said. You know, Makera, we're a company of makers, right? So we want to provide you the best CNC machines for making and the best tools to do that. So we've always supported so many different CAM programs, like Rolf said, Fusion and SolidWorks and SolidCAM, and also any other thing. We're open source here, so anything you want to work with. But what we found with our users and our growing users, which are so many of you, and again, thanks for joining us, is that CAM is a difficult thing to learn. So Makera CAM is just an opportunity for any user of any level to be able to start creating their ideas as efficient as possible. As hopefully you'll see tonight as we kind of go over some things. And I keep saying tonight because it's evening where I am, but whatever time it is, wherever you are. So let me pull up Makera CAM. Rolf and I are going to run through some different features and guides and stuff. And this is the most recent beta release. So Makera CAM is still in public beta, which means that our team is still working to improve it. We're still working to refine it. We appreciate all the users that are testing it out and giving us feedback in our public Discord group. So this is the release that's going to come out in just about an hour or so for everybody that's a Makera user, everyone who wants to access a free trial, as Rolf said. And the first change that you'll notice when you launch Makera CAM is the screen asks you the type of project that you want to create, a three-axis project or a fourth-axis project. And tonight we'll definitely be looking at both. But let's start with three-axis because that's a very common environment that you might be working with. And I'm going to review a couple of features that have been out now for a little while, but have gotten a little bit of refinement and improvement. So the first thing you'll notice, and the first thing you should always set whenever you create a new job or a new project in Makera CAM, is that you should set your stock and your materials, right? So for example, I can edit this and I can choose the material that I'm working with. And we have a wide range of materials included in Makera CAM by default. I can set the size of this. I can adjust the size to match the project that I'm working on. And we can kind of see that this boundary box will change based upon whatever I enter up here. And if you enter the material library, you can see the materials that are included. You can make your own materials. You can import, you can copy, you can duplicate. You have all that flexibility and control. And then you'll also notice that we have our functions panel down here where we have layers to work with 2D and 3D designs, our paths, and what's called the work coordinate system. And what the work coordinate system does is it determines where is the origin point for your design, which is typically in this bottom left corner here. But in theory, I can move the origin to somewhere else, like the center of my design or another corner. Or what you might also want to consider doing is adding another work coordinate system, like, for example, WCS2, if you wanted to machine on more than one side of your part, right? So if I wanted to flip this over and set my bottom work coordinate system to be the opposite, bottom left corner, that would let me create a two-sided job where work coordinate system 1 would be all my files for the top, work coordinate system 2 would be all my files for the bottom, right? So let me open up a file, and we'll look at a lot of different file types in this webinar, but I'm going to start by just opening up a two-dimensional file, which you can grab as a DXF or an SVG, any vector file format. And we've made some improvements to this. This is a feature that's been around for a little while, but we've refined the tools. We've made this a little bit easier, more intuitive to use. Everything that used to be called vectors renamed to being 2D to distinguish between the 2D paths you can create and the 3D paths. And it's very easy to select your design and transform it. So for example, I can move it, fit it in my stock a little better. I can actually just quick align, which will automatically center it for me. That's a new tool. Some different tools for rotating and scaling and mirroring if you want to manipulate your designs. And as Rolf mentioned, what CAM does is it lets you import a design that was generated in CAD, C-A-D. So this maze was drawn in a CAD program, and then prepare it to be manufactured using our CNCs, like the Carvera and Carvera Air. And the first two toolpaths I want to show you are how to create a pocket, which would be these interior components, like a cavity in the design, and a contour, which could be an outline like this outer perimeter. So to create a pocket, I'm going to select the parts of my pocket. I'm going to use this drop down for 2D path, and I'm going to open up the 2D pocket toolpath. And all the toolpath options are very similar depending on the types of toolpaths you're creating. It'll vary just a little bit. But the first thing you want to do is set your start and end depths. So first off, like where is it going to start machining? At the top of your stock would be 0. And then the end depth, where is it going to finish machining? So essentially, how deep do I want these pockets to be? And even though this is a 2D file, I can still add depth to it and make a 3D part by saying I want to machine these pockets to be, let's say, 5 millimeters deep. I could enable a finishing pass if I like. I can change my safe positions off the defaults. And listen, while I'm going kind of quickly here, of course, know that we have tons of tutorials and guides to really dive deeper in these features that you can always check out. One of the most important things you have to do with your toolpaths that you'll see us do a lot of times in this webinar is select the correct tool. And if I just remove this tool and open up my tool library, you'll see that Makera Cam comes preloaded with all the tools that we provide in our store, with feeds, speeds, and all the cutting settings. And you'll see that whenever I select a tool, it'll automatically change to whatever material I've set in my stock. So let me grab this larger end mill, and you can see we have all of our feeds and speeds here. I don't need to change any of these past the defaults, but of course you could if you wanted to. You could also change the tool number assignment. So if you were using the Carvera with an automatic tool changer, this would correspond to the spot that it was loaded in the automatic tool changer, or the Carvera Air will prompt you with the LEDs to show you which tool to switch to. So that would be based on this number. And then for my pockets, I have a bunch of different strategies depending on how you want to cut through. Are you following the contours? Are you kind of sweeping back and forth? And we'll show you quite a few tonight. You can change between conventional and Klein milling, which is super handy depending on what you're doing. And one of my favorite features, especially when you're machining metal, which this is just for plastic, is ramping, which will not plunge into your material. It will allow your bit to enter at like a nice gradual rate to really reduce the strain on your bit. So anyway, when you have your settings, you can click calculate, and you'll see that the toolpath is generated, right? So you can see that I have this maze cut here that's 3D, despite the fact I'm working with the 2D toolpath. You can also see that the path was drawn over here on the side. And one thing that you might notice is that whenever you're doing a pocket, you actually have the ability to add more than one tool. So this large tool did just fine clearing out this maze. But let's say, for example, it couldn't quite get in the corners here. I could choose to add another tool, like a small bit, and actually machine this pocket with both tools. Well, the larger tool will first clear out a lot of material, and then the smaller tool will go in and clear out whatever's remaining as you go, depending on your design. Then the next thing I want to show you is how to create an outline cut with the 2D file. So for example, if I grab the outline and create a contour will not fill in a cavity per se, but it'll follow the perimeter. So just like before, we'll set our start and end depths, and I want to cut all the way through the part. I want to cut through the material. So I'm going to not just cut to a depth of 10 millimeters, my material is 10 millimeters thick, but I'm actually going to cut to a depth of 10.5 millimeters, just so I pass through the part and cut all the way through. And in some of our guides, we show you how to use a spoil board and like a piece of waste material under your material, so you're not cutting into the nice shiny bed that you have on your machine. Again, you can select your tools, your speeds, your feeds. I'm using the same tool that I used before. And then you can go ahead and set a couple different strategies or options for contours that we didn't see with the pocket. If you want, you can run the bit along the inside of the line. That would be great if you were cutting out like the inside cavity of a part. You can run it right on the line where the bit will follow the line perfectly, or you can run it along the outside, which if you're cutting your part out, that's usually the most common option, where the bit will actually run along the outside to make sure it doesn't cut into your material. Again, you can enable ramping if you wanted to, depending on the stock. And one of the most important features for a contour are tabs. So when I cut this part out, and let me generate this so you can see it, the part will be no longer connected to the stock that's clamped down. And if you're not securing that stock, it will actually fly out of the machine, and that could be kind of dangerous. Now, both of our machines, the Carvera and the Carvera Air, are fully enclosed, so it should never eject into your workspace as long as your lid is shut. However, you really want to secure your stock during machining, either using double-sided tape or using tabs. So I can easily draw some tabs here. I can set the size of the tabs, and I find this to be one of the simplest features in Makera Cam, where I can just very quickly click around the edge of my contour like so, recalculate this, and now you'll notice that spots were skipped in my design here for the tab. So that is creating two of our favorite toolpaths with 2D files, which is not necessarily a new feature for Makera Cam, but one that we've made a couple subtle changes, one that actually allows you to really create some different things there in an effective way with 2D designs. And I see some folks asking for samples and things like that. And what this would actually look like if I pull this up on the screen, if I stop sharing this and pull, hang on one sec, this up on the screen, you should be able to see, let's see, that's interesting. I'm getting an error message, so I can't show you what it looks like. But you'll see, we'll show you some video clips of us milling later on. Not sure why that video's not playing, but that's okay. Of us milling. And all the samples that we're showing tonight, guys, are located on our wiki site on the knowledge sharing page for you to grab the sample parts that we show. Roel, if you're back here with me, do you want to show everybody the drilling and thread milling features?
Yeah. Let's carry on. I just dropped out for a second, so you just let me know if I drop out. Hopefully, I can get back in.
Not a worries. Not a
I think
worries.
there's something up with my network, but I think we're okay now. I just had a quick restart, and I think we're good. So let me just present my screen here. Okay, can you see the screen right here?
Yeah, you're looking good.
Yeah. Okay, so basically what I'm going to show you is just a feature that is the 2D drilling and then the 2D thread milling. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to create a 2D model in the CAM software. So you have some basic things that you can create with this, a circle or a rectangle. Now, if you have a very basic part, you can make whatever size square on here. You can change the size of this rectangle here, and then you can also add a circle. Let's make this just a 2 millimeter hole here. Now, to actually process this, you can see it's been drawn on the top surface of the stock. I'm not going to mess around. Jason has already explained what this is in the material, things like that. So I'll just focus on this hole. So we will go into 3D pocket. 3D drilling and thread milling too. But just what you can get off a 2D file is also just to show you how powerful it is. So I'm going to go here to 2D drilling. Now, a very important thing that that you need to know is that you have to drill the hole before you go into thread milling. But that hole that you drill needs to be a very specific size. We have on our wiki that we have online, on our feeds and speeds document. Can I open that here? Let me just try it. I'll show you that feature just after this, or just that, or the list of all the size holes that you can make. Wait, actually, I can do that. I have to stop this camera. That's fine.
I have it. Roel, after you go through this, I have it preloaded on my screen here. When we can
okay.
So you're good.
All right. So first of all, we're going to drill. Now, we know this is a 2D hole, the 2 millimeter hole. So the end depth that we're going to drill to, let's say my material here is 5 millimeters. So if I want to drill through this material, I'm going to do this 5.1 millimeters. So that you can make sure that it actually passes through the stock. The clearance height that's just to save the position, how high the tool moves over the stock to move from one to another hole if it needs to. And then in here, I will choose a tool. Now, when you're drilling, it will automatically take the center of that circle and then drill the hole. So I can even go to a bigger drill size here. But on a 2 millimeter drill, you have to have a very specific size hole. 1.5, you select your material over here, and then you select that, you go through here, and then you have a retract height that you can set here as well. Now you can just drill directly, then you can say none, or you can put a fixed height where it actually moves above the material to 1 millimeter, or it actually a relative retract, so it goes down by its path depth, and then it lifts by 1 millimeter. So if I calculate this, you can see it actually goes through the material, and that's a straight hole, just up and down, and it'll pass through to the relative height. And then when that hole is drilled, then you go, and you can see here the drilling passes ended up here. And now if you want to add a thread to this, then you select the start depth. We want to mill right through the material, so we can make this 5 millimeters. If you don't want to go all the way through the bottom, In this case, I'll just put it 5.1 because I want the thread all the way through the material. And then this is an internal thread. Now you can also do a repeat of the layer, so you do multiple passes on the same line, or you can do multi-layer, which is like the step over pass. So if I will actually calculate this as one layer, then I'm just going to show you what this is. So here I will just choose my tool, do my thread mill, and this is a M2. So I choose this, whatever material it is, I choose this. You can select the thread size here, the pitch of, if it's a very specific, but this has already been set up, so I'm not going to mess around with this. And if I hit calculate, you can see it'll move from the bottom and it will start from the bottom. So our toolpath actually moves down and then mills upwards from the bottom side to just make sure that the material gets out of the hole. Now, if you look at this toolpath, and I actually say multi-layer, and I make this 2. So if you're milling into softer materials, you might get away with just a single layer. But if you're doing harder materials, you can increase this layer, let's say 3, and then you'll see it actually creates 3 passes on that line, just to make sure that if you want to take care of your tools, this puts a lot of force on the tool. So the more layers you can make this, the better it is for your tool. So this is just the 2D functions, just to quickly explain to you how that works, how to do that. And do we have a video available, Jason?
I think so. It didn't let me play the last video, but let's try again. Here we go. Thread milling example. Yes. All right. So there's our drill bit. You can see there's the retract drilling function that Roelof described.
So this is going back to a fixed height. So that one. And then here you can see this one is going from the top to the bottom. But in our case, you can also set the direction of the tool. But in this case, it's going from the top to the bottom. But in this cam, it will actually go from the bottom to the top. And that's a better way of milling because you can actually get rid of the material or the chips that you're actually removing. So yeah, that's just a quick video to show you how that works. And then Jason, you can carry on to our next section.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Roelof. And actually, real quick, you mentioned it so well, so I want to bring it up here. Let me just pull up my desktop here. The wiki site, right? So the wiki site is where you can go for a ton of information. We are actively working on this constantly, and also please continue to give us feedback on things that we can refine. We have a big team that's working on this here. So what Roelof mentioned was down here on the speeds and feeds page. We have our speeds and feeds for our drill bits. We have our speeds and feeds for the laser module, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, and also the parameters for thread milling. So this is what Roelof was just mentioning.
So there you can see the M size, and then the corresponding drill size that you have to use. That can be modified slightly if you want a little bit less or a little bit more tolerance. But this is quite an accurate guide, and we have had quite a lot of success with these.
Indeed. And also, folks were asking about the sample models. So if you head over to the knowledge sharing page, this is where you'll see a lot of our tutorials. And then any tutorial that we make, we also give you all the files to work with too. So that's where you can always download the files that we're showing you, all here on the wiki. All right, so let me head back over to Makera Cam here. Hang on one sec. Let me find my second desktop. Sorry, guys, entire screen. Here we go. Makera Cam. And what I want to look at too, I want to show you how to work with image files. So this is one of our favorite features, is that you don't necessarily need to have a lot of CAD skills to immediately start machining your part, right? Let's say you literally go on the internet and you search for a piece of clip art. Like, for example, if I import this piece of clip art of a dog tag. So this is a JPEG file. It's literally just a piece of clip art, a photograph. And I could immediately take this file and engrave it with the laser. What I can also do is I can trace it. So I can do a vector trace right here in Makera Cam, and you have some features for thresholds if you're doing something a little bit more complex than this black and white image. You can optimize it if you want. You can play with these settings if you don't get a good result. And what it will do is it will actually trace the image and give us a vector outline. And then that vector outline can be used for, any of the things that we've showed you thus far. It could be used for pockets. It could be used for contours. It could be used for drilling operations, whatever it is that you're looking to do. So you can create milling toolpaths just off of a picture, which is super cool, which again means that you don't necessarily need to have some really robust CAD skills or CAD knowledge to get up and running. Now, the other thing that we love about Makera Cam, which we love to show here, is the fact that not only can you prepare your toolpaths for the milling functions, which we've shown thus far, drilling, thread milling, pockets, contours, etc. You can also prepare your toolpaths for the lasers. So the Carvera has a built-in laser module. It's a diode laser. And as I just showed on the wiki site, we have the settings for that and the materials you can work with for that. And the Carvera Air has an optional laser engraving module, which inserts like a tool that we show in some of our other guides. So let me actually import a photograph, like a picture. And this
that's such a cute dog.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I try to show pictures of my dog as often as possible. Spoiler, he's going to come up again later. So this was a black and white photo, but if it was a color photo, it'd automatically be converted to grayscale. And I can open up my laser processing paths here. Now we have two options. Laser vector will be used to create a vector outline, kind of sort of like the contour toolpath that we looked at earlier, where the laser can, score the material depending on how thick the material is. It can actually cut all the way through if it's something thin, like paper or foam or some thin woods. But of course, you can always use your milling functionality to cut through the material. And you also have laser image. So in the laser image, you have some abilities to adjust your image. Like if you want to change the brightness, the contrast, if it's not ideal for engraving, you can manipulate that, get some good photo editing tools right here in Makera Cam. And then you also have the ability to change your speed and your power. And of course, this would change not only depending on the material, but the material and wood comes in many forms. So not just wood, but walnut would engrave very different to say maple, right? So the color and the tone of your materials would all be impacted by the laser. And again, we have our recommended settings on the wiki site. But anyway, once I set my settings and I click calculate, that generates my laser toolpath. And I could literally export that laser toolpath just like I would export a milling toolpath and send it over to your machine if it's equipped with a laser engraving module like the Carvera, or if you have the optional engraving module on the Carvera Air. And what that would look like if my video files are working here. Let me see. Yeah, it would look like this. So this is actually milling the outline of my dog first, because a laser can't really cut through very thick material, regardless of the type of laser you're doing. But if you have something like the Carvera Air, you can combine your milling spindle to cut through thick material, like this 1.5 inch thick pine, and then engrave the surface, right? And you can prepare all of that in Makera Cam in one program, which is a really unique thing to our machines that we're pretty excited about. And we know that a lot of you are excited about it as well. And I mentioned earlier that there are so many different materials that you can work with, with the laser specifically, materials that a typical mill can't work with, like thin foams, papers, felt, fabrics, cardboard, right? Those are great things that you can manipulate with the laser. A milling spindle typically would rip something like paper to shreds. But of course, with your machines like the Carvera and the Carvera Air and Makera Cam, you have access to manipulating and designing for all of those materials as you go. And I think another unique project that we really specialize in for the variety of the things you can create are printed circuit boards or PCBs. Rolf, you want to share a little bit about that for us?
Yeah. Let me open my cam again. Now we have quite a few people using our cam for PCBs. It's very powerful. Now what I'm going to try and show you here, let me just delete this, and delete these files. And then I'm going to go at the top here. I'm going to import a PCB. And then I'm going to take sample PCB. Now, this is how you export it from your PCB design software. This is a good way of just showing you how can you see this import screen as well?
We cannot.
You cannot. Okay, but there's so I'm going to just import the few files that I've got here, which is the bottom copper, the solder mask, the drills. Importing
right, you're
the drills.
Like the Gerber file will export that in individual, and you're bringing them in one at a time, right?
Yeah. So I just brought in one at a time. All of these, some of them's combined. And then the solder mask, that's combined as well. And then all of these drills that you see over here, Let me hide everything else. I just pulled in, that's a single drill file. And what our cam did is actually measured all the holes specifically, and it puts it, all specific size holes, they put it into their own layer. So that makes it very helpful if you have very specific drills you need to use on specific holes. For example, 0.8, you maybe use a 0.8 for that hole, 0.8 for this hole, and then this hole is a little bit bigger, that hole's a little bit bigger. So it actually separates all the drill files, a single drill file that you import into separate layers, which makes it quite helpful and quite useful. Let me just increase this slightly here. This one. And now I'm not going to go into too much detail because this can take quite a lot of time. But you will set this to your PCB. And now what you want to do here, like Jason also explained, the work coordinate system, if you're doing a double-sided job, you'll actually set, if you then you'll actually move this file. Let me just move this just in the middle. So you can quick align stock, which is also a cool feature. And then some of these files you can actually flip over and put it to the other side, to do the opposite side of the PCB. Now to do the drills here, I just showed you, it's basically you select the hole, and then you can do all the drill files with the specific tools. And then if you want to do a trace file, just like Jason has done on his maze project now, this will be the file that we work with. So you would select everything here. I've got a double line on the outside here. I'm actually not going to use that. And then I will just use the 2D path and a 2D pocket to calculate. So we will cut this at a depth of let's do 0.1, just to remove the top copper. And then for this, we will use a metal engraving bit, 0.2 into PCB, choose. And if we hit calculate, oh, sorry, I've got the I'll just delete the first tool. And then you can see it actually calculated all the traces over here. And I think we can actually show a video of how we actually mill this. And now you can do the same thing with all the other, with the opposite side, and then you can do the drills. And then you can also do the silk screening, which is the laser function that Jason also showed. And I think we can pull up a video just to show you how that's done.
Yeah, we have that right here. So I'm just going to pull this back to show. So this is a little corn bit going in there, creating the holes that Roloff mentioned. And then there's the traces being cut with a V-bit. We also have the PCB fabrication pack, which is one of our more popular accessories. And what that gives you is the tools to create two-sided PCBs, as well as to cure and create solder mask and actually remove the solder mask using our specialized solder mask removal tool, which lets you create, of a wide range of PCBs. This one's a very simple LED one from our LED light project, but you can really use your Carvera and your Carvera Air to make a lot of different electronic and PCB prototypes like Roloff demonstrated. Yeah.
And the solder mask removal tool that's also, you just use the pocketing function for that, the 2D pocket function, just to create, like you see that's just pockets. That's done like that. So super simple, super easy. And then you can also use the laser to do an extra part to this. Jason, do you have that silk screen clip available? Yeah, so what we do here is we actually, after you applied your first layer of solder mask and you let that cure, and then you would actually go with your laser and after putting a white solder mask on top of the green in this case, and then it'll actually harden a text on top of that PCB, and then you just wipe it down and you actually have text on your board. So if you need that much detail into your on your PCBs, you can actually use that function as well. It's quite useful.
All in one machine, right? So this is all, this is making the PCBs and everything without ever having to take the PCB out of the machine during the manufacturing process. It's cured right in the machine, which is super slick. And again, really kind of increases your productivity in your prototyping or just your DIY if you're making cool electronics projects there. Roloff, you know what time it is? I think it's time.
I think so.
Our first giveaway, folks. So get ready, get your keyboards ready. We have a couple giveaways that we're going to pass along to some lucky viewers with us tonight, and I'm going to pull up a video file Roloff, if you don't mind, before we do this, let's get them really excited about what they're going to get here. I want to show you what we're going to give away, and that is this tag kit. So we showed so many different projects that you can create with pockets and all these things, right? So we have a custom tag toolkit, which gives you materials, bits, a wide range of cutting tools, and all the things you need to create a wide range of real-world projects and products like signage, plaques, trophies, tags. And don't worry, I know you want to see another picture of my dog. So there, right? All those different things. So we have 2 tag toolkits that we're going to give away here. So get your keyboards ready to go, because Roloff's going to give you a keyword, and we're going to raffle it off to folks that enter the correct keyword.
So I'm going to say, I'm going to match text, and if you comment hashtag tag for this one. Are you guys ready?
Tag, no S, right? Tag, no S, tag.
Tag, no S.
There we go.
Start collecting comments. Let's go, guys. Oh, there's already 28. Let's go. How many viewers do we have on here? 433.
Here we go, folks. Let's get some entries. It's counting up there.
I'm sure we can get past 300.
I hope so. We have more than one tag toolkit we're going to give away, guys. So enter the keyword.
So some of our customers probably in bed. I think our European friends, they're probably lying in bed and just typing tag.
Yeah, there we go. Now you can enter more than one, so we appreciate the rapid keyboards, but it's only going to count you more than once. It's clever like that. I think we are
Control V.
Yeah, I think we're leveled off, just about leveled off there, Roloff. If you want to draw whenever you're ready.
Let's do it. Let's first draw.
Here we go. Tag toolkit winner number 1.
Jason Lynn.
Congratulations, Jason. Congrats. Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
And you think we run it down? We run it down again?
Yeah, we have one more tag toolkit to give away. And don't worry, folks, we have more giveaways after this. So let's run it again.
Yeah. Let's run it again. ASD. FG. I don't know how to say that, but well done.
Congratulations. Yeah, congrats, guys. Those are our first 2 winners of the night.
So what you guys can do is just screenshot us, just a screenshot of your YouTube account, so we can just make sure it's you, and you email that to info@makera.com, and then we will send you your prizes.
Yep. Awesome. Congrats. And those are just the first 2 prizes of many. So stick with us here, folks. And remember, in addition to that, we still have our promo code that's running that you can save yourself $100 on an order until Friday too. So don't forget about that as well. So let's dive back in with the cam, right? So let me pull up my desktop here. We're going to start to get into some of the really new stuff. And that is 3D files. So listen, we've showed you how to create a wide range of 2-dimensional paths, laser processing paths with DXFs, SVGs, JPEGs, images, Gerber files for PCBs, right? Now we're going to start looking at some of the newer features, which are importing 3D files. And Makera Cam at the moment, the beta version that we're working with here, will support both step files, STEP, and STL files, depending on the types of processing paths that you want to create, right? And we'll show you the differences between the 2, starting with a step file. So I opened up my maze earlier as a DXF, a flat file. This is now a 3-dimensional step file of the maze. And you can see that you can import it nice and easy into Makera Cam. Now, the benefit of a step file is with step files, you can actually select the individual faces of your part. And that's not really a Makera Cam thing. That's just how a step file is created, is that you get a lot of detail with the transfer of files, which lets you select individual things. Like, for example, if I want to create a 3D pocket rather than a 2D pocket, you'll notice that I have the ability of selecting in my design, and I can actually select the individual faces. STL files don't quite let you do that, but we'll look at how you can machine an STL file later on. And you'll see that I've selected the face, and the 3D pocket toolpath options are very similar to the 2D pocket toolpath options, with the exception that the end depth is actually set based upon the model. So for example, Makera Cam will automatically figure out the depth of the pockets in the design and then just machine to the depth of those pockets, right? So I don't actually have to set the end depths, although you can offset it depending on what you're doing. Like before, you can change your clearance heights. You can select one or several tools, right? So you can go through your tool library and select the tools and select the materials based on your stock. And if you want to, machine with multiple tools and do multiple finishing passes and things like that, you can still do that. You also have the same strategies that you would have with a 2D pocket. What's different, though, is your tool containment. So that's a different feature for 3D pockets. And what this describes is where is the cutting bit allowed to go? Inside boundary means that the cutting tool is not permitted to exit your model parameters or your model perimeter here. But the outside boundary means that the cutting tool would be able to. And in this model, that's not necessarily a significant thing because I'm not really cutting on an outer edge. But in some of the other designs where you actually need your tool to be able to kind of enter in and out of the design, you would typically need to use outside boundary, unless, of course, you didn't want to cut the material around your model, and then you could lock it to an inside boundary. You still have the option to enable ramping, just like before, and then we can calculate that toolpath, and that will calculate my 3D pocket around a 3D model, very similar to how we could do with the 2D file, but of course now working with that 3D step. And while I still have you here, let me show you how to do a 3D contour, which is another new tool that again allows you to create a contour cut around your 3D object. And this is something that can be done with both step and STL files. The first thing that you actually need to do is generate an outline to cut. So for example, you'll notice that I can select my object. I can also select, let's say, an individual face. But what I can't do is easily select the edge of my model. However, Makera CAM will automatically generate those edges for you. So if I select my part and click Generate Contour, you'll see that Makera CAM automatically found the outer outline. And I can then select that outline and use it to create a contour toolpath. Like with the 3D pocket, the end depth is automatically measured based on your model. So this model is 10 millimeters in thickness. So it's going to automatically set my end depth to be 10 mil. But if I want to machine past my material, like to cut all the way through, to plunge past the stock, I could offset that. Oops, not offset by 10. I'm going to offset by half a mil. So I'll go half a mil past my end depth, and I can enable a finishing pass. I could change my clearance heights. I could change my bits, my feeds, my speeds, etc. Now, your path strategies look pretty similar to what we had for the 2D, where you can run on the inside of the contour, outside on vector. You do have the option to create a pocket style contour. And what that will do is it'll automatically set your cutting tool to be on the inside of the contour and then gives you your pocket strategy options. If you want to do a parallel, like a facing, if you want to surface your stock, or if you want to follow along the offset. For this case scenario, I just want to run along the outside of my shape. So we'll keep this on outside. I'll enable ramping. And just like before, let's go ahead and create some simple tabs around this contour just by clicking on this contour and adding some tabs along the perimeter of my design. And we can calculate. So there we go. We have a 3D file and lets us design both pockets and contours. Pretty simple, right?
That's great.
Yeah, I want to see, Rolf. I tried to show a video of this earlier, but it wasn't working. But now let's go back to this real quick. This, oh no, it still doesn't work. All right, my maze file is not working. All right, guys, sorry, I can't show you a video of this machining, but we have an example on our YouTube channel that shows us machining these pockets. So I got one video that's not working here, but that's pockets and contours with 3D files.
Yeah. Let me show you a bit also again about the 3D drilling and the thread milling. So it's very similar to the 2D. Let me just share my screen over here. So you know this model. I think everybody that has a machine knows what this is. So basically what I'm going to do here, I already moved it. The stock's 20 millimeters and the part is also 20 millimeters. But now you can actually, with the 3D drilling, you can actually go select all the inner holes that you've designed.
I think you mean the bottom face of the hole, right there, Rolf, or the outer edge.
Yeah. I mean, you can select the inner face of this hole. And then the drill tip start depth. So you can actually start milling a little bit higher, but this will start at 0. So if there's no depth offset, it'll actually go to the bottom face of this tube, if you want to call it that. So in this case, I'll choose my drill, and this drill will be a 2mm drill. Now we're doing a thread mill, so I'll do a 1.5. Let's call this plastic, and I'll choose that. Over here, I'll select fixed Z height retract, and if I calculate, you can see it actually starts at the top of the material, and then it drills all the way to the top of that bottom surface. So it actually, and if I go up here and I modify the depth offset, let's say call this 5mm, calculate, then that'll actually go deeper and through the hole, and that'll go past the bottom surface. But if you wanted to follow the model, you just set this as 0, and then hit calculate. And then a similar thing that we did in the 2D, if I want to do a thread mill of these holes, we can also do the in-depth offset, but I'm not going to do that now. The faces has been already selected. And over here, we can do a left-hand thread or a right-hand thread. Now, most screws are right-hand thread, like a righty-tighty. And then over here, you can repeat and do a multiple pass on the same line. Or if it's a harder material, you can do a multi-layer here, which is, let's add 2 passes to this one. And I'm going to choose a thread milling tool, 2mm here, into plastic, hit choose. Over here, you can select the thread size. You can change the pitch, spindle speed. I'm not going to modify that now. And if I hit calculate, you can see all the holes have been programmed. And that is your holes will be threaded. And over here, you can see the 2 files that we created. First, the drilling, and then the thread milling pass. So super simple, easy to use. And obviously, if there's different size holes, you'll have more paths and more layers at the side here. But yeah, this is the light base. You all know this base, and that's thread milling in a quick and easy way.
With a step file too, with a 3D file, right? So hopefully you guys are seeing how you can create a lot of different milling operations with a wide range of files, giving you the freedom to, bring in whatever it is that you're creating. And a bunch of folks were dropping in the chat here. What about STL files? What about 3D STL files? And you know what? Let's talk about that. So let me pull up let me flip back to Makera Cam again here. And I'm going to import an STL file. So I'm going to use this import 3D and grab this. Don't worry. I know you want to see my dog one more time. There he is. Right. And here's an STL file, a mesh relief of my dog, and I want to mill this just like we mill the pirate ship example that ships with the Carvera and the Carvera Air, right? Now you'll notice that this model didn't actually quite come in correctly. It didn't come in the orientation I need, but it's super easy to use the transform tools to rotate a part that comes in, move it, align it so it's centered within the stock, or even scale it. So if you import an STL and it's way too big or something like that, you can scale it, you can mirror it. That's super easy to do all right in Makera Cam. Now, what I'm going to do is with my 3D STL selected, I mentioned that you can create a contour with it. So I can use a 3D contour path to generate a contour and cut this part out, just like I showed you with the maze a little bit earlier. But we're now going to look at the relief. And what a relief is it will actually follow all the intricate details within your design. So whether they're concave or convex, if they're like extrusions or pockets, it's sort of irrelevant. The relief will just trace along this model and machine it as a really nice high detail engraving. So with our relief, we have our start depth if you want to work around the top of the stock or not. You can set the max depth, and we'll look at what that is in just a moment. You can set your safe positions if you want to move around like a jig, a fixture, a clamp, etc., just like you can in all of our other toolpaths. And then, of course, you can select your tools. And like with pockets, you can select more than one tool. So I have, let me delete this and make sure I have the right settings. Let's select a large roughing tool, this 3.175 millimeter bit set for brass. Because this is going to be a roughing pass, I'm going to keep step downs enabled. So that way it will gradually work through the stock. So it's not going to plunge right down to the face of the dog. It's going to work down in increments of 0.1. And we have a couple of different strategies options for the relief. So the model boundary will keep my bits within the boundary of the model. The material boundary will keep my bit doing a relief within the boundary of the material, right? Which in this case would be super wasteful. But if the material was maybe a little bit tighter around your design, you might consider that. And you can also create a vector shape. So Roloff showed you earlier how to create shapes using like the 2D create tool. So you can actually create like a circle or a box and then use that as a boundary as well. But I'll stick with the model boundary for now. You can offset it if you'd like. You can then choose your tool containment, just like we looked at in the pocket earlier. And of course, you can also enable ramping, which if I was actually machining brass metal, that would be a good idea. And we'll calculate this. And usually it takes a moment or two to calculate a relief. It depends on how complex the relief is, right? There's a lot of things going on here. But you'll see that I now have this very complex toolpath. Let me see if I can find you a close-ish view of my cutting bit working around the intricate details of my dog, right? Now, you'll also notice, though, if I switch to the front view, sorry, I'm kind of losing my view here, that the relief actually comes all the way down to the bottom of the model, right? So it's actually cutting out this coin like a relief. And one, that's kind of wasteful. That's going to take a really long time. And this coin, as it's a mesh, it's not a really good crisp edge there. And I also can't create tabs with the relief. You would have to do a contour cut for that. So I mentioned earlier this max depth feature, right? Let me enable this and let me set a max depth of, let's say, 3 mil and recalculate here. What that should do is it should actually stop the relief at a maximum Z. So for example, the surface of my coin, right? So now that's going to, you can actually see the dog cutting real nicely there. So that's going to go ahead and machine to just this maximum height. And then I can go and create a contour toolpath to actually cut this part out with tabs. And if you wanted to do a more fine detail finish, like not just a roughing pass, you can add another tool here. So for example, an engraving bit, like the 0.2 mil engraving bit. And because it's going to be a finishing pass, I'm going to disable step downs because I've already roughed to the surface of the stock. Although you should only do that if you get really close to the material, right? So if your roughing pass doesn't get really close to your design, you should still enable a step down when you're working with a small bit, or that might you might risk breaking your bit. Though for the sake of this demo, we can kind of save time by not enabling that. And if I recalculate this, we'll give this a second to process here. Again, complex step files take a bit longer. If I zoom in, you should see that the toolpaths are much, much, much closer to the dog because the roughing bit will clear out a lot of material, and then the finishing bit will come in and do another pass. And what that would actually look like if I flip screens here is this. So there's the roughing pass being cleared out. You can see not very fine detail here. So that's the roughing bit, right, working around the dog. And then there's the finishing pass where it's going in and panning over at a much closer detail using the V bit to actually finish this part off. And then of course you could then do a contour like we did earlier with tabs and everything, just like I showed with the maze as we go. Right, so doing a 3D relief with an STL file is a really cool project. It will let you do just like the pirate ship example that comes with the Carvera and Carvera Air and works with a wide range of models. But listen, one thing that you've seen us reference so many times tonight are bits, V bits, single flute bits, thread milling bits, drills, etc. Those are crucial tools that you need. And that brings us to our second giveaway. Right there, Roloff? Let's give more stuff away. Get your keyboards ready here, folks.
Let me go back here. I'm going to do this again.
So what we're giving away now is our common milling bit bundle, right? So this is a bunch of bits that will let you create all the projects we're showing you tonight. So get your keyboards ready here. What's the keyword, Roloff?
Hashtag bits.
Bits, plural, with an S.
Yeah. Start collecting comments. You guys ready? Let's go.
All right. Hashtag bits. Who's going to win our commonly used milling bits bundle? Really handy accessory. I think one of our favorites.
There's quite a lot of tools in there. There's some metal milling tools. There's some V-bits in there. You've got some collars in there, so it's quite versatile. The stuff that you can make with all the tools that you get in that milling bit bundle.
For sure. I think any of the projects we're showing tonight, certainly, and so much more. Right?
Yeah.
All right. How are we doing? We have 230, 33, 39 entries.
Yeah.
All right. We're cruising here, and we're going to give 2 milling bit bundles away, folks. So we're going to have another lucky 2 winners here.
We're still going 250. Slow down a bit. 252. What do you say we go?
I think we're good.
Let's do the first draw. Good luck, guys. And the winner is
the original Dr.
The original
P.
Dr. P.
Awesome. All right.
Congratulations. You know what to do? Just send a screenshot of your YouTube account and just email that to info@makera.com. I'm going to draw it one more time. Let's go. Entries 267. Draw again.
Here we go. Who's lucky winner number 4 of the evening?
Max Dalvisio. I don't know if I said that right. Noise Tank. Congratulations. You guys know what to do. Just send us a screenshot of your YouTube account, and then you can just email that to info@makera.com.
Yep. So, folks, we are still plugging along here. We have a couple more things that we're going to show tonight. So stick with us. We really 2 more things we're going to show tonight. We're going to show off what I think a lot of you are waiting for, and that's the 4th axis features in Makera Cam. And we are going to give away a Carvera Air. So stick with us. We have a couple more things to show. And again, keep asking all these comments in the chat. You're doing great. We really appreciate the feedback. And we, again, appreciate you all sticking out with us for so long here. So the 4th axis, before I give it away to Roloff to kind of show it in Makera Cam, in case you're not aware what the 4th axis is, the 4th axis is an accessory for both the Carvera and Carvera Air. And we recently actually just released an updated version for the Carvera that includes what's called a harmonic drive, which the Carvera Air has as well. And if I pull up this video clip, you'll be able to see what the 4th axis does. And it essentially allows you to, it bolts to the bed of your Carvera and Carvera Air, and it will actually rotate the stock during the machining process. So you can use it like a lathe if you want to do like a turning operation, but it's more than that. It actually can do what's called index machining, where it will rotate to a specific angle at a specific time to allow you to create really intricate and geometrically challenging parts and models like this. And with the upgraded harmonic drive 4th axis that we provide for both of our machines, you can now hold really fine detail, really fine precision on both the Carvera and Carvera Air. And we're super excited about the fact that you can now prepare these types of relief projects in Makera Cam, which is really cool that we're going to be able to show you here tonight. Roloff, are you ready to get into that there?
Yeah, let's jump on that again. I'm going to import the file from scratch here so I can just kind of show you how the setup would work. Now, my stock that I have set up is a 35 by 35 by 100 millimeter length. And I'm going to import what some of you already know very well and have seen is our beautiful Nefertiti. Now, I'm just going to, now obviously this can't work like this. I need to do some scaling. I need to do some rotations. So I'm going to select the part, and a feature that you can go here to the transform tool, but for quick access, I just hit M on the keyboard, and that makes it quite easy to actually just modify and rotate this part. So I'm going to rotate this on the correct axis just to get it into that stock material. Then I'll scale it. So let's rotate it in the XZ plane and then also in the YZ plane. So that's the right orientation. You can see the model there. And then I have to scale this a bit. Let's scale this down, the X to 40. Hit enter. Okay, that's a little bit, I can go a little bit bigger than that. Let's go 45. And now if I do a right view, I can see, okay, this is not going to work. I'm going to cut off the nose here. and then I might cut off the back here. So I can go to rotate, select the part, and then I am in this plane, and I'll add 135. So I'll add that, and now I'm still doing the right view. Now you can actually see it actually fits that part, and it's in the center of the stock. You can move this a little bit backwards and forwards. For now, I'm just going to keep it like this. So now the model is placed correctly in the stock. Next thing that I'll need to do is I need to add some tabs to this. So we will go to create a 3D model. Now you can do a cube here, you can do a cylinder, or you can do a cone. For this case, I'll just do a cylinder with it. I'll make the diameter, let's do 8 millimeter, and then the height I'll make 20 millimeter. And then I'll just put one here, and I'll put one over there. And then I'm gonna close this, select this tab, and then select on that, move, and I will quick align the stock so it's in the center. And then I'll move that along the X. Let's go 70. Just need to make sure. There we go. So we have a tab that side. I'll select this one, quick align stock, and I'll move this to 30. I'm going to have to reduce that to 20. Then you have a tab there. This tab is a little bit long. Should actually make this a little bit shorter. But for what I want to do here is this actually will do the job. So now everything's set up. I have my part here. Now to actually make the tool path. So I'm going to select the tabs, the model, and the tab at the bottom. Then I'm going to go to rotation path, rotation relief. Now the cutting depth, the max depth we're cutting at is 5 mil relief. And now first we're going to do the roughing. Safe position, that's already been set up. And then what I'm going to use here, we're cutting this out of a tooling board. So I've already selected the let me delete that tool. I'll select the right tool over here, a single flute for non-metal, and I'll use the 25 mil flat end, and that will be plastic. All the settings is all the feed rates, or if that's already been set up. While we're here, maybe I can just talk a little bit about the tools and how you can set up and change and modify.
We actually can't see the tool library, Roelof.
Oh, really?
I think based on your screen sharing, it's not popping up there.
Oh, okay. We have tutorials online on how you can change and modify.
We get into it a lot deeper, so don't worry, folks.
Yeah.
We have tons of tool library tutorials there. Don't worry about that.
So I'm going to add a tool which is just 25 mil, 1/8 of an inch on plastic. So I've added the tool there, and I'm not going to add a second tool on this yet. First, we just want to do this. So it's step over has already been set up. The step down, I select the step down. Now this is kind of, in other cams, they call this multiple passes or roughing passes. So I will select that it's step downs at 1 millimeter. And then you can also change the direction. I'm going to do horizontal first, and I'll show you what it shows like. And I'll also enable the tailstock. So I'm going to calculate this part. It takes a minute, depending on your model. Now you can see what will happen in this case. It knows that and also I didn't mention that the shape. You can edit the shape of your stock if it's round or if it's square. So back to this. So what it will do in this case, the part will turn, but the bit will mill like this. Depending on your model, you can actually modify this and change this, but that depends on the shape of your model. But for the Nefertiti, what we actually will do here is change it to vertical. So I will change this to vertical. And remember, this is just the roughing pass. So this is just taking off the bulk of the material. So now you can see it's actually turning, and the bit is actually standing still while the stock is turning. We'll show you a video of how that actually looks like now. So now that's set up. The relief has been set up. Now I'm going to create another rotation path, and I'm going to go to select a V-bit, engraving bit, which is on metal, 0.2 engraving into softwood. So that's a 0.2 engraving bit. And now I will deselect the step down. You will set up the tool number, just make sure that's correct. The first one was on tool 1, now this is on tool 2. And then we'll also go vertical because our model actually works well with the vertical cutting. And I'm going to calculate this. This also takes a second. And now you can see that it actually cuts out the whole face. You can see the detail of how detailed it is. Here you can modify the step over. Obviously, I'm using a 0.2 engraving bit. So my step over will be half of that V-bit end tip size, which is 0.1. And combined, the toolpaths will look like this. So super simple 3D fourth axis jobs.
Yeah, and we have a lot more fourth axis features coming to future beta releases of Makera.
Yeah.
The one that's going live today after this stream. At the moment, the only fourth axis toolpath that you can generate is a relief, which is still great, and you can do some really awesome projects. But we know that there's users that are asking for fourth axis pockets and drilling, and those are things that are coming in a release that's coming out soon. So that those are additional features to look forward to shortly.
There's many things in many. There's quite a lot of features that's still outstanding, but you guys, you can expect quite a lot of more features soon. I just want to add to this rotation relief. Another feature that we will have is you add a tool here, and if I add a roughing tool, so this is the engraving tool, but you can add a roughing tool. Let's say that the 25 mil. And I'll move this upwards. So it actually looks at this tool list, and it will first look at the tool 1, and then it will look with the step down selected, and then it'll look at this with the step down deselected. So it can actually calculate into one toolpath that actually has two tools. So very intuitive feature. So if you have a lot of details that so there you can see now it's tool 1 and it's tool 2. But yeah, that's still some features that you can expect. But that's how simple it is. That's how simple it is to actually change and modify and create your own models. I'm going to delete this for now. I'm going to just calculate this one again. And now I'm actually going to process this file and actually put it on my machine. We're not actually going to mill it because that's going to take a few hours. So what I'm going to do here is export the toolpath. Do you see that? Do you see that window?
We cannot, no, but that's okay. It's just a selection window for you to select several toolpaths there. So that's not a big deal.
Let me see if I can share my screen for that actually, because I actually want to open the controller as well.
Yep. So I see a lot of folks are asking some really good questions here. Somebody asked about thread milling, and yes, you can absolutely thread mill not just plastics and things, but metal. Depending on your feeds and speeds with both the Carvera and the Carvera Air. And the fourth axis is also compatible with any of the materials that we work with, plastics, foams, woods, metals, things like that too, especially if you're working with the newer harmonic drive fourth axis or the fourth axis for the Carvera Air. So here we go. Yeah, so you're saying roll off, yeah.
Let me just see if this works. Do you see this? Do you see this window now? Okay, fantastic. So now I'll export this. Let me just pop this on the desktop. I'll call this test 1, save that, and then I'm going to go and open the controller. If I can type, Carvera controller.
And while that loads there, the controller is a free app, and the controller is available for Windows, Mac, and Android tablets with iOS tablets coming soon, as well as Linux. And this is just something that you could use to connect to your machine. So you can run this on a desktop like Roloff's is doing, but you'll see that we also are compatible with tablets if you want to mount a tablet to the side of your CNC.
I think I modified some of my Wi-Fi settings because the signal was bad originally. So I think this machine is not connected now. So
that's fine. That is all right.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. We had some, listen, this was going so smooth. We had to run into some technical difficulties. I'll tell you what, I have it on my side. So let me pick up where you left off real quick.
Yeah.
We'll show the video here, folks. So if I can, let me connect real fast and let me just switch. I'm switching screens here. I'm going to, sorry, I have to move my camera out of the way. Here we go. All right, so what we're looking at is, the Carvera controller, and I've connected to my Carvera Air. And if I click on the Files button right here, I have the ability to see the example files that are already loaded within your CNC, as well as you can make subfolders. So I made this folder called Projects. And in your folders, you can very easily select a file, like for example, this Nefertiti rough and finishing pass that comes with your Carvera. Or if you design something in Makera CAM, you can simply press the Upload button and then select a file off your computer that you've created. As so. So I'm going to open up the roughing file that Roelof prepared in front of you here in Makera CAM. And you can actually see those toolpaths, right, that were prepared like so. And in the Carvera controller app, you do have some basic preview features. Makera CAM very soon is going to get a material preview feature where you'll be able to see how it carves into the part. That's going to come in a near release in the next couple weeks here. You'll see that we have some information about that on our website. And after you import your design, you can go to Config and Run. And whenever you bring in a fourth axis file specifically, the Carvera controller will automatically identify that it's a fourth axis file and then allow you to set your origins based upon the fourth axis. And while I'm working with the Carvera Air right now, the Carvera would look very much the same. And then you can hit, you can enable scan margin if you want to trace the perimeter with the laser pointer of your machine. Auto Z probe, you should always enable that. That will actually home to the fourth axis to a set fixed position. And we never use auto leveling for fourth axis. So when you actually click run and you run this, what it's going to look like, as Roelof mentioned, I know you're all eager to be here, but maybe not for the next 2 hours watching a machine go. It's going to look like this. And Roelof, if you want to walk us through what's happening here.
Yeah, so the first step that we did was the roughing. So now you can see it's just taken off the bulk of the material just along the outside perimeter of the model. So it's not touching the model. And then it'll, after that's been done, then it comes back with the small fine V-bit. In my case, it was a 0.2 V-bit, and then the step over was a 0.1. So you can get like super fine details. This is a second pass that they run just to get a finer finish. And then you just unbolt that, and you can remove the tabs, and then you have your finished model.
Yeah.
And this can be done in so many different materials. You can do wood, you can do aluminums, you can do brasses, coppers, carbon fibers. There's so many different materials that you can use for on this fourth axis. And with this new harmonic drive, you can do bigger parts. You can do, more bigger tools. You can put more forces on the fourth axis as well. So it's very useful. We have so many customers already using it, and they're making incredible stuff. It's really cool, and that's so great. That we're so grateful for everybody that's on the Discord, that's sharing their projects and also helping people just understanding this fourth axis. But hopefully, our CAM, can make it easy for people to get going and making their own stuff. And I showed you now, it's so simple. It'll take you a few minutes just to get the hang of the CAM software. But if once you got it, that's something that you'll know forever.
And with that, listen, folks, learning machining is a challenge. Learning CAM is a challenge. Learning CAD, right? There's difficulties with everything. But our goal, as Roelof just said, is really making it as simple and as intuitive as possible. And we're growing, and we're improving with that constantly with these beta versions. So your feedback is hugely appreciative as we show you how to use these tools. And hopefully those of you that have tried to generate reliefs and thread milling and fourth axis machining and other CAM programs, and you've maybe seen the cumbersome steps and tools that you have to go through to do that. Hopefully you're sitting back right now and you're thinking, wow, okay, that doesn't look too hard. And listen, Roelof and I have been doing this for a while, so we may have made it look a little easy tonight. But of course, like Roelof said, put some time in, put some practice in, expect to break some bits, and you'll pick up your speed pretty well. And you'll
breaking bits is the best way of learning. Some people have deadlines, and our parameters are set for people that doesn't really have deadlines. But you have to be careful. But yeah, I've broken a lot of bits. Jason has broken a lot of bits.
Several, at least 3 today. Just getting ready for tonight, right? But listen, I think we're running out of time here, and I know a lot of you are sticking around for what's not the biggest deal of the night. The biggest deal was all the CAM features we just showed you, but I think we have one more giveaway.
Yeah,
One
the
lucky
big
viewer,
one.
One lucky viewer here is going to take home, not literally, because we have to package it and ship it to you, but you're going to get a Carvera Air desktop CNC. So get your keyboards ready.
And
We
I'm
got
going to
one
type
more
it in
keyword
here.
coming in for you.
Hashtag air. No, not capitals. Sorry. Air.
Ready, steady, here we
Hashtag
go.
air and start collect. Let's go, guys. This is a big prize.
Big prize, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
All right, coming in, doing
And
great.
Going.
Yeah. Again, you can only enter once. I mean, listen, I get it. Enter hashtag a bunch of times, but it will only count you one time. So it's one entry per person.
I saw a capital A in the chat here.
Lowercase,
Yeah,
exactly
lowercase.
like it is on the screen there, folks. We're gonna let this one run for a minute.
We've got 466 people on the stream. At least 400 guys.
Yeah, come on, folks. If we get enough,
It's a free machine.
It's a free machine, yeah. How many can we get here? 260. It's tiny on my screen here. 265. We're doing pretty well. We're doing well. I think some folks might have gone to bed. I get it.
Yeah. Some probably asleep. Let's give it another 10 seconds.
Here we go. Home stretch here, everybody. I like that somebody just entered hashtag free machine. So true. Not the keyword. Hopefully you entered hashtag air first. Hashtag air. All right.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and draw.
Who's going to get an air? Here we go.
Do we have a drum roll?
That was good.
Greg Hill.
Congratulations, Greg.
Congratulations.
You are a winner of a Carvera Air desktop CNC.
That's great. That's great. What you have to do is just screenshot your YouTube details. Send us that screenshot to info@makera.com, and then we will send you your prize.
Yeah, and that goes, of course, for all 5 of our winners, right? So just screenshot your YouTube account info so we know it's you. Send it to, as Rolf just said, info@makera.com, and then we can arrange shipping information and all that stuff to get you your prizes. So, huge congratulations. So, folks, listen, before we close it out here, couple quick things, couple quick key reminders. First and foremost, I think this stream was a lot of fun. This is the second stream that Rolf and I have done in the last little bit. We have some plans for some more coming soon. But listen, all of the stuff that we're doing here is really based upon you, our users, right? What you want to see, what you want to know, how we can work to support you. So our public Discord is fantastic and super active. Our Facebook groups are fantastic and super active. And of course, you can reach out to us via the info@makera.com if you have general questions, support@makera.com if you have support and technical questions. So if there's content you want to see, if there's things that we're not doing a good enough job at in terms of teaching you and getting you up to speed, let us know. The cam that we showed you tonight is still a public beta. So it's still, we're working on making it improvements. We're asking for feedback from our users to improve. But as mentioned, that is completely free for all existing Carvera and Carvera Air customers. Whatever email you bought your machine with should give you access to Makera Cam. And if you're not an existing customer, first off, hopefully you decide to be, and you could of course save $100 on orders over $1,000 with the code PYCAM100 until Friday. But any user can have access to Makera Cam for a free trial, a 15-day free trial. So that's perfectly fine that you can get access to that. So we're going to launch that Makera Cam live in just a short period of time. Yeah, just once we get off here. And we also have a ton of new content coming out. So we have a lot of new tutorial videos to review all the stuff that we showed you. Of course, the stream is going to be posted to our channel. But we have a lot of new tutorial videos. We're working to revise and improve our wiki site and the user guide. And a lot of that's happening tonight and even more over the next couple of days with a lot of projects and things. So tonight was really a good kickoff, but there's a lot more in the pipeline coming soon. Did I miss anything?
Fantastic. Yeah, I think you covered everything. The Discord is a great channel for anybody that's new to the game. You can learn a lot from other people using the machines. And just overall, thank you to everybody, all our supporters. Thank you to the team in China. They've been answering a bunch of the questions in the chat. And then all of our customers all over the world. It's amazing to have everybody together like this and see people that already have machines. Some of you maybe not. Maybe this just gives you a little bump to do the deed. But yeah, we're excited for the future. We're excited for this cam. And yeah, thank you very much to everybody. And thank you, Jason.
My pleasure. Thank you, Rolf. It's been a lot of fun. It's been good.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can fit in a couple hours of sleep before the sun comes up for you there. And we'll see. But listen, folks, I think with that, like Rolf said, thank you so much to everybody. Until next time, enjoy your evenings, your mornings, your days, and reach out if there's anything more we can do for you. Take care, folks.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, everybody.